Surviving and making money is hard enough already. Building a business or going to work every day or cooking and cleaning and living everyday life, these things are getting to be hard enough already. Trying to do these things when you're having a hard time just getting out of bed, that's like trying to climb a mountain with 2 broken feet, no shoes, almost impossible. From my own experience and what I've seen in other people, usually when people are so depressed that they can barely get out of bed in the morning, it's because they're fighting an internal battle of expectations. Not always, but oftentimes this is what's happening. Either you or your parents or your peers at some point in your life convinced you that at this point in your life, things should be looking a certain way. And the reality of your situation might be that you're so far off from that expectation that at this point, anything that you do feels completely hopeless. For example, I might have always thought by age 25, I'll be married and maybe start having kids. I might even have thought that by age 30, I'll have X amount of money in my bank account and I'll have a thriving business. I might have thought that I will live in Beverly Hills or the Hamptons, or that I'll be climbing up the corporate ladder in whatever field that I'm in. And I will, let's say, look like a totally sexy model, posting pictures on Instagram for fun. And instead, the reality of the situation might be that I'm broke, I'm fat, I have no marriage prospects, no job or business, maybe a drug addiction. Maybe I'm also taking a platter of prescription meds every day just to avoid all these negative feelings. And I have 3 other roommates that are constantly fighting with each other, and I live in like Detroit or something. This is a lot of people, by the way. If you think that I'm talking to you specifically, congratulations. You're in massive company right now, especially thanks to everything happening in the world right now. A lot of people are depressed and on the verge of ending it. And it's not just the people that are down and out, the people that you think of. It's the people that you think of as wealthy, beautiful, successful people that have their shit together. Those people are on the verge of ending it oftentimes. So anyway, what you wanted in life is not what you got, you're thinking. And not only is it not what you got, you're realizing that even having half of what you wanted in life is so far off from the reality of what you can accomplish at this rate that there is no point in even trying. You don't even want it anymore. Because at this point, you can't even feel excited or even the slightest bit motivated by your reality anymore. And you may or may not consciously understand why. You might actually see it as your reality not meeting your subconscious expectations. Or you might just think there's something wrong with your brain. Either way about it, going to sleep for a very long time seems like the only appealing life for you right now. So either reality has to change to fit your deeply rooted expectations from life, or your expectations will have to change based on new information. You'll need these things to be in harmony so that you can survive and thrive in life, your reality and expectations. Based on the laws of attraction, in order for your reality to become better, you'll need to find a way to be okay with your reality as it already is. And in order for you to become okay with your reality as it is, your reality needs to become better. We've got sort of a chicken and egg situation here again, and we'll need a way to jumpstart a positive cycle towards a reality that sort of matches our expectations a little better. So an example of this is, let's say you expect yourself to weigh 150 pounds, but in reality, you weigh 200 pounds. So you're struggling with your self-worth right now because you feel like it is unacceptable for you to weigh 200 pounds. And because you have this belief that you're doing something that's unacceptable, you're finding it really difficult to trust yourself to take the actions that would actually help you lose the extra weight, because the motivation to do so is coming from desperation and not from confidence. So your fuel to change your reality to meet your expectations is going to be very low because it's coming from a very low energy place. So let's say we don't have the energy to change our reality and lose the 50 pounds right now. But lucky for us, it takes a lot less energy to change our expectations. In other words, deciding to believe that it is acceptable for us to weigh 200 pounds right now. And if we lose 50 pounds, even better. When you reward yourself for losing extra weight rather than punishing yourself for what you weigh right now, the weight loss journey is going to happen a lot faster and more efficiently because you're coming from a position of power and not from desperation. So your energy level is going to be much higher. So anyway, how do we change our expectations? Notice how I keep saying change and not lower. We will not lower our expectations, because lowering our expectations in order to be happy is like killing parts of yourself, killing your dreams so you won't be disappointed. What a way to make yourself even more depressed. Besides, you can tell yourself all day that it's okay to weigh 200 pounds, but if you don't really believe that deep down, you're still not going to feel enough energy to make positive changes. Losing weight is still going to feel like an uphill battle. So the way that we will truly change our expectations is by first learning new information, understanding why we weigh 200 pounds, understanding why we're depressed, understanding why we are broke, understanding why bad things are happening, why are we unhealthy or lonely or angry, pretty much why things are the way that we are. The more we understand, the easier it'll be to change our beliefs about ourselves in the world, which means that the more power we have to get to our dream reality fast. So essentially, our plan is to oscillate between slightly modifying our beliefs and our actions a little at a time, using them as little steps that will gradually take us towards our happy place. So let's jumpstart this positive cycle with a belief followed by an action. If the belief works to get you out of the depression and jumpstart your positive cycle, then great. If not, we're going to keep moving between beliefs and actions until you forget what being depressed feels like. The first belief that we're going to accept is that your entire reality is at least half made up. Everything that is happening to you right now is at least partially a figment of your imagination. Even seeing me on your screen right now, you're not actually seeing me. You're seeing an illusion that your brain recreated based on a reflection of light that came in through your eyes that reconstructed an image of me. And on top of everything that you're seeing already happening inside of your imagination, everything else that you believe about what you're seeing is also at least half made up. If you think I look pretty or ugly, if I'm nice or mean, if I'm broke or wealthy, even if I'm happy or sad, if I'm good or bad, these are all opinions. Nothing that you're seeing and believing is purely objective. So even facts are colored by your perspective. I might see blue and you might see gray. And sometimes a lot of people have the same exact perspective and opinions, but that doesn't make it fully objective realities. They just brainwash themselves into accepting a version of reality as their objective truth. But remember that if all reality was purely objective, then drugs wouldn't work so well. Your brain chemicals wouldn't be able to change what you're thinking so quickly within minutes. You wouldn't be human. If your reality was completely objective, then you would never change your mind about anything. Your brain would never evolve or change, and you would completely lack self-awareness. You would think that you know everything, but you wouldn't know everything, because if you did know everything, then you wouldn't be human. By understanding the truth that your reality is at least half made up, you're understanding the power that you have to change your own reality. You can decide if you're too fat or too skinny. I mean, you can bring up little facts to support what you decided. It doesn't make it an objective truth. Still, it makes it a partially objective truth, because at least half of your reality can be controlled using your mind. And if we can control the mental half based on the laws of attraction, changing the other half of your reality will be a piece of cake. So now that we have accepted the belief that we can control our reality, let's follow it up with an action. I want you to find a super private place where nobody can see you or hear you. And once you're in that place, I want you to stand up tall and say as loudly as possible, I am the most powerful person in the world. The world revolves around me. I have complete control over the entire world. I want you to say this proudly while smiling as wide as possible and puffing your chest the way a really powerful person would. And it's okay if it feels like a joke to you. Just pretend that you're the most powerful person in the world and do the things that such a powerful person would do. Bang on your chest like Tarzan. I want you to go all out with this and really imagine it. It's okay if you're doing this while drunk or medicated. As long as it helps you complete this action, that's fine with me. I want you to embrace this action before moving on to the next belief. Get really into it. And if it helps to play music in your ears while you do it, perfect. Just repeat with me. I am the most powerful person in the world. The world revolves around me. I have complete control over the entire world. And remember to do at least one physical thing while you're saying it. All right. Now that you've completed the first action, I want you to take a moment and accept a new belief. And that is that your feelings are fluid. And because your feelings are so fluid, they can easily change based on external factors. Your feelings will change when the drugs kick in. They will change when the drugs wear off. Your feelings will change when somebody tells you that you're powerful and awesome. It's going to change when somebody tells you that you're weak and that you suck. People in general will affect your feelings very easily, with or without trying. I want you to think of 10 people off the top of your head right now. Write down a list of 10 people that stick out in your mind. Those 10 people might be your friends and family. They might be people that you work with or that you occasionally interact with, or they might be a content creator on YouTube like myself. Once you have a list of this 10 people, I want you to put these 10 people into two categories. People that you can do the first action in front of and people that you can't do that action in front of. So remember when we banged on our chest and said, I'm the most powerful person in the world and all that? Which people on your list can you not imagine doing that silly thing in front of? Those people will have to be replaced for a while. It's okay if you love them so much that you want to come back to them, but it'll be impossible to keep growing and reinventing a happier version of yourself around people that you can't be your silliest self in front of. Even if they're objectively okay with it, but since nothing is objective, you can't. Becoming a happier and more successful person will require silliness. So in this second action, we'll have to replace the people that you can't be silly in front of with people that you can be silly in front of. This will sound like a very silly step, but it is extremely crucial if you want out of your misery. For now, all you need to do is write down the people that you can do all the silly and embarrassing things in front of and replace those that you can't do that in front of. If you don't know anybody in person that you can replace all those people in your life with, maybe pick an online creator, somebody from YouTube or TikTok, or a movie character. If you can't replace the unsilly people in your life because you either live with them or work with them, or because one of those people is you and you're stuck with you, and your own head is filled with negative voices, try simply increasing the influence of the people in your life that are okay with your silliness so that the ratio of positive to negative voices in your head is higher. So one thing that I sometimes do when I have a flood of negative thoughts and voices in my head is to put my earphones in and binge hear YouTube videos or podcasts that contain positive messaging, like while I'm doing other things, like maybe walking or eating or sometimes even sleeping. And it's okay if you're not consciously paying attention to the podcasts or videos, because your goal is simply going to be to rewire your brain over time by replacing the negative voices with positive voices. One reason why your head might be filled with so many negative voices is that your brain was wired by those negative voices in the first place. Like, remember that your brain is still developing until you're 25 years old. A lot of that development happens in your first 10 years of life. So just think to yourself, what kind of voices were wiring my brain in my first 10 years of life? Were they positive or negative voices? Because I know that my brain was being filled with negative voices. Voices that told me that I was being a burden, that I was very difficult to love, that because I was born, now other people are suffering because me being born caused them to be in a bad situation, and that I was so lucky to be fed and have a roof over my head despite all the pain that I caused other people by being in this earth, and so forth. And here's the thing, even though nobody that I know right now believes any of those things about me, and in fact, my parents are so proud of me, they're still alive, they're always telling me all the time what an awesome daughter I am, and I consciously believe that I'm awesome too. But it doesn't change the fact that my brain was wired in its formative years to be extremely negative and feel constantly like I'm being a burden every time I'm around other people. I can't help it. There's this part of my brain that tells me every day that I am a disgusting waste of space on this earth and that the universe would be better off if I quietly killed myself. Of course, in a way that doesn't burden anybody else. And no matter how many positive voices that I surround myself with, sometimes they're just not enough to drown out the negative voices that my brain is repeating to me over and over again. This is a very important belief to have, because understanding how your brain might have been wired by the negative voices gives you the power to then rewire your own brain as an adult. Many people are resistant to this belief, oftentimes the so-called adults in our lives, because then they'll have to admit that their unhappiness and negativity affected our little brains as children. And if they have to admit that they can rewire their brain, then they're going to have to do it in their old age, and that's very hard. But that's why it's so much more important that you do this now rather than later. Learn how to rewire your brain. And the good news is that it's really possible to do that by treating yourself like a newborn baby that you're now raising from scratch. Newborn babies need to be pampered all the time. Newborn babies need healthy and nutritious food. They need to be rocked and walked. They need fresh, clean air. They need to be touched and loved. They're so sensitive. They need to be protected from harsh lights and noises. They need to be protected from other people's negative feelings and from stress or illness. Newborn babies also need to cry whenever they feel like it. That's actually a famous sign of a healthy newborn baby, as you have probably already heard, and that healthy babies need to cry. And that's how they learn to release their negative emotions, so that those emotions don't stay in their bodies and then later manifest into depression and rage in their adult life. If you didn't cry or scream enough as a baby or a child, especially when your body wanted to but it wasn't allowed to, you might need to start doing that now. And that takes us to our third action. For this third action, I need you to think about and write down the perfect environment where you can essentially re-raise yourself as a newborn baby from scratch. A newborn baby cries and screams and yells at everybody else, but it does not have anybody crying or screaming or yelling at it. A newborn baby is constantly loved and pampered and told how cute and lovable it is, even though all it does is eat, sleep, poop, and cry all day long. A newborn baby is essentially an entitled little monster, because it has to be, because that's the only way that it'll graduate to becoming emotionally mature. It's a very crucial developmental phase of every human, of being an entitled little monster that is nonetheless very loved and pampered. And if you can fully allow yourself to willingly go through this phase, you don't even have to tell anybody that you're doing it. You don't have to do it in front of anybody. I promise you that you'll end up on the other side of it exactly that happy, capable, and emotionally mature person that you've always dreamed of being. Because you're an adult, you are more powerful than a baby. So it'll actually be very difficult to find other humans that are powerful enough to be around you reliving your entitled little monster stage without it affecting them negatively. And the sad reality is that even your own parents, if they're still alive, probably won't be able to handle you doing that now, especially if they already weren't able to handle you as a little baby. They might even just tell you that you gotta suck it up, because they do really believe that, because they've had to do that too. But they're wrong, and their belief is why they have these issues in the first place. So anyway, for this action, you're gonna need to think long and hard about how you'll put yourself in an environment where you can re-raise yourself from scratch, around zero judgment. It won't be easy, but it'll be fun. So ask yourself the following questions. What kind of lifestyle is good for re-raising the newborn version of me? Is it in a jungle town in Nicaragua, around a bunch of naked hippies, playing volleyball by the beach, reading my favorite books, and sipping smoothies every day? Is it looking good so that people will compliment me? Maybe it's doing yoga or joining a meditation or dance group. What kind of lifestyle will allow me to be as selfish and entitled as possible around zero judgment? Society might tell you that since you're an adult, you cannot go around acting like an entitled little monster and still wanting to be loved. And society has it partially correct. After all, you don't owe anything to other people. People don't owe anything to you, let alone the kind of love and support that even your own parents couldn't give you. But at the same time, you're going to need the ability to fully let go and allow yourself to go through this very crucial phase in order to survive, let alone in order to graduate to the happy emotional maturity phase. And there's nobody that is more powerful to give this to you and to figure out how to get this for you than you. You know your inner little newborn monster's needs better than everybody else, including your parents. If you're too tied up right now to spend all day letting go and being that entitled little monster, that's completely okay. Let's start with the small steps that we discussed in this video. Believe that you have the power over your reality. Yell positive affirmations to yourself while jumping up and down or doing whatever you feel like doing in a private room. Cry and scream and punch your chest as much as you need to. Believe that your feelings can and will change. Start replacing the negative voices in your life, including your own negative voices, with positive voices. Believe that you can rewire your own brain and create a plan to re-raise yourself from scratch in your dream environment once you have the freedom and availability to do so. And in the meantime, get your hands on my book, House Hackers Anonymous, a 12-step survival program for my younger self, because in that book, you'll find a very simplified 12-step strategy that I've created to free myself financially, to free up my own time, to release myself from all the burdens of my life so that I can do what I'm doing right now, which is completely unraveling and allowing myself to be that big, entitled, happy baby that I know I deserve to be. The more time and space that I can give myself to let go and be entitled and whine while I soothe myself and tell myself how awesome and lovable I am and that everything will be okay, the faster that I will get to being the person that can be that and to be there for other people's entitled little monsters. People are already saying that they're seeing changes in me. People that know me are saying that I seem happier. Even the people that don't know me and are meeting me for the first time are noticing that I'm radiating happiness, and that's pretty cool. But honestly, I know that I can be even happier. And it doesn't matter to me that everybody around me is so depressed. That's not going to stop me from continuing to pursue the best and happiest version of myself possible, because I know that happiness is contagious. And the only shot that those people might have at any form of happiness and productivity is to know that at least somebody in the world is pampering themselves. If this video helped snap you out of your depression, then wow, I am impressed. But if it wasn't able to do that and you're still feeling depressed, then I want you to let me know in the comments or in an email what I could have done better to make you feel even better. And if you really believe that there's absolutely nothing that I could have said to make you feel better because life sucks and I suck and everything in the world sucks, then I want you to also tell me that in the comments or tell me in an email. And then I'm going to take what you said and I'm going to stand in front of a tree and I'm going to tell it what you told me. Because you know what? Someday you'll be able to be that for another person that needs it. Let it rip. See you in the next video.